YouTube family. How we doing out there? Good. I'm hoping that I successfully pushed everything that is cluttering my desk and work area out of the way, but if it's still in the frame, such is life. Welcome back to my channel, guys. My name is Ashley, and I am a candle maker over at Upside Goods Company, which is my candle business. And yeah, I'm just going to weigh in on, little knickknacks of questions and information that I've learned along the way. If you're new to making candles, hopefully this channel is really helpful for you guys because I've been documenting my journey all along. I'm about 8 or 9 months into it now, and actually today is the anniversary of my business launching to the public. We're 2 months old, which is really exciting. I've done a lot of research, and I'm by no means an expert, but I do like to share my opinion and voice, and hopefully it helps people who are maybe just getting kind of stuck in the mud and trying to figure out and navigate their way through candle making from a business perspective. Today we're going to talk about a question that I see a lot, as I always say, which is what wax should I use, or what wax gives me the best hot throw? Well, trust me, if we all knew that question, we would be using the same exact wax, but we don't know the answer to that question so matter-of-factly. So I don't even know if that's a word, but I just said matter-of-factly. Factly? Blooper. There it is. So first and foremost, when trying to figure out what kind of wax we should use, we need to think about what kind of candle we're trying to produce. Maybe it's not even a candle. Maybe it's a wax melt. These are things we've got to think about. So if you're pouring a candle in a vessel like this, that's going to take a different type of wax than would be a pillar candle, which has no container around it whatsoever. So these are things that we need to start thinking about first. And maybe you don't know, and so you just start to kind of blindly lead yourself. Maybe you're testing both. But a certain type of wax that works in something like this might not necessarily work in a pillar type of candle, because this is pretty soft wax that I'm working with, and it's not going to hold its shape like it would need to for a pillar or a wax melt. Things to think about first and foremost. So if you are using a vessel, find the vessel that you want to use, and then you can start to whittle down, okay, here's a good wax that will work in that. So it's kind of like the convoluted question, what wick should I be using? And then it's like, oh my gosh, it's basically like trying to find the social security number of an individual candle. It's really hard. I don't know of any of you that go looking for social security numbers, but hopefully you catch my drift on that. So let's say that I want to find a candle that works well in containers. I'm going to go to the various candle suppliers that are out there, like Candle Science, Flaming Candle, Candle Wick, Wooden Wick. Oh my gosh, all of them that are out there. And then I'm going to start to look at the different type of waxes, and they should be labeled container wax, pillar wax, wax melt, and they have so many helpful guides on there. Most of these companies have like a learn tab on their menu bar, and you can go in and find what's the perfect wax that they carry that would fit what you're trying to produce. So that's where we should start first and foremost. Then from there, we can start to whittle down, okay, if I'm pouring in a container, these are all the ones that are available to me. Maybe it's beeswax, maybe it's coconut, maybe it's just soy or paraffin or palm wax. And then you can start to see the differences that are available within those waxes that might stand out to you a bit more. Those resources are going to allow you to start to do your own individual checks and balances. What's important to you? Do you want to go something that's a little bit more of a natural wax or less of a natural wax? It's totally up to you, and there's no shame in whatever one you want to try or run with for your business, but that's where you're just going to start to navigate what your preferences are. I really like things with coconut in them, so I wish I had a really, sexier way of telling you guys that I landed on coconut soy because I'm drawn to the word coconut. Then I started looking into what it actually is made up of, and I really liked it. It's all personal preference. So once you decide what type of product you're making, then you can whittle down maybe 2 or 3 different waxes to try at home. Then you can start testing. So that gets into the other convoluted question of what wick should I be using? Well, again, do you want to use a wooden wick or do you want to use a cotton wick? Again, there's no right or wrong answer, and you're just going to kind of naturally gravitate towards one or the other, or maybe you test both, which is what I did, and I ended up going the route of wooden wick because I liked the crackle and I felt like it was unique to the market in which I'm selling in. You're not going to be able to have a tried and true, use this wax, use this wick, use this fragrance oil, and it's all going to work out perfectly. That's where the hardest part of all candle making that comes into, and myself included, I totally underestimated. You have to test all of these things. And then when you test them, it likely isn't going to go the first round where you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely the wick and wax and size and fragrance and blah, blah, blah. For me, you're likely going to have to test 2 or 3 times, maybe even more than that, before you bring something to market, especially if you're using wooden wicks. Those things flicker and dance and they're really confusing and you're like, I don't know, it feels like they're a little moody. I don't really get it. The whole thing is just such a convoluted question that it's really hard for one person of experience to go and help someone as a beginner and be like, you need to use this, 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 and this. A lot of it comes down to personal preference. A lot of it comes down to testing, and more testing. This is the part that's going to make your brand. When you're drawn to certain things within the products that you're using, those are the key marketing terms that you're going to use when you're sharing it to the public. I fell in love with this because A, B, and C. You're probably going to fall in love with this because A, B, and C. So it's really a convoluted question, but I hope that this little roadmap gives you a little bit of insight as towards where to go. And as always, if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Please subscribe to my channel because I absolutely love doing this. Who would have thought? And if you have anything further than that, please check out our Candle Collective, where I send out emails about once or twice a month to beginning and intermediate candle makers that are just wanting to connect and learn a little bit more. Thank you guys so much for your time. Have a great rest of your day.